Africa is made up of 54 different countries with an endless diversity of cultures. The way marriage is practiced differs, but traditionally is largely based on a patriarchy that once saw women uneducated and disempowered. Over the decades, this has changed. African women are more empowered now more than ever before. As a Jamaican married to a Zimbabwean, it's intriguing to learn how marriage is viewed in my husband's culture and how culture has responded to modernization. To learn more about this topic, we've decided to visit the Birioti family, who are also a young Zimbabwean couple and successful Zimbabwean YouTubers. Join us as we talk about modern marriages in the African context.
When people see an African man with 6 wives, at the end of the day, that's their own thing as Africans.
I still remember the first time and so then I said, the YouTubers can say, what's that?
Me and my wife, we are Zimbabweans. She knows the role that she's supposed to play. I know the role that I'm supposed to play.
A man should be proficient and be able to provide, and a woman should also be independent and be able to provide.
I think as a man, they come, the title of being a man comes with rights and responsibilities.
Exactly.
Right.
We're driving out of Harare over to Chitungwiza to see the Biriotis.
I hope he's there. I hope he's there. Voila! Finally. We visited the Birioti family.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I've been willing to meet you.
So am I. So I'm glad to meet you.
I wish I brought Tiago.
I like your, should I say, your social commentary.
I was doing social commentary.
You do hard-hitting videos, like
Yes.
videos that touch people's...
I try. As of now, I'm interviewing entrepreneurs and farmers, especially that.
Yeah.
I never thought that it could do well.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to do what I'm doing now, that is interviewing entrepreneurs and farmers. That way, I would be benefiting, they would be benefiting from the content.
Awesome.
I used to have that basic mentality of thinking that people are not investing back in Zimbabwe or Africa in general. You know, I'm talking about people who are in the diaspora. Look at where I am right now. This is a house that belongs to Mr. Nyoni. He's in the diaspora. When you are seeing this video, you won't believe that you're in the rural areas. This is one of the beautiful houses that we have in Dema.
Kevin Birioti's YouTube channel is dedicated to showing the positive stories of upliftment and growth in Zimbabwe.
I think we have to learn from each other. What I've learned so far when a Jamaican person, is it Jamaican? When they are speaking, they seem like not to fake it. They don't fake it. They show their emotions.
Yes, yes.
They're very bold, like. So that's. I think most of us have to learn that. We have to be true to ourselves, and if we say no, we have to say no. If we say yes, we have to say yes.
Yeah, if a Jamaican says no, you feel it.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
Ask me. I know all about that. I do feel it. I know all about that.
They insisted that Jamaicans are forward and stubborn.
I'm quite stubborn.
But not too much, just a little bit, just enough. I think that's something, probably one thing that we've had to adapt to with each other.
But I feel like that's. Is it being stubborn or being?
I think maybe not stubborn, but more of like independent.
Thank you. Like
I would say
confident.
maybe independent because I guess males from that side are also quite different.
Yes.
Right? So you have an African male who does things in the African context.
Exactly.
They also expect their female, you know,
To do the same.
to how can I say, to reciprocate that behavior in a certain manner. So I think that can cause clashes sometimes.
No, it's at the end of the day, if you guys don't communicate well.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, I think in that sense it even extends beyond culture, and maybe just in terms of compatibility.
Yeah.
It ends up coming down to that, I think. In Zim, I've noticed maybe women are given the space to just relax.
Exactly.
You don't have to worry about working too much,
Don't do much.
you don't have to worry about like earning and providing and
Yes.
doing that. Men take it solely upon themselves to do all that. In where I'm from, in our country, that's not so much of an emphasis for men. And I think maybe it's a Western thing right now, where even some men say their role is being taken away from it. I don't know. I don't want to get
Yeah, it's
into the
happening out there,
sexism and
yeah,
whatnot.
yeah.
But we don't really have that emphasis. It's more of a man should be proficient and be able to provide, and a woman should also be independent and be able to provide type of thing. So when you grow up in that environment, you don't grow up with expectations from a male partner.
Exactly.
You actually grow up having expectations of yourself. And so when you do get married to someone who's raised to take that on, sometimes I feel like he worries too much or like puts too much on himself, and I'm like, well, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. But he's just like,
Okay.
no, I'm the man. I'm supposed to, it's my job. I'm the provider. And sometimes I feel bad because I feel like that's a lot of stress for one person to carry.
Yeah.
But I've grown to understand that. I mean, that's how you guys were
Well, I mean,
raised.
men are providers, I'm sure.
Yes.
He's the man of the house. He got here, he's taking care of us. You can see he's running the show. And, that's how we've been,
Exactly.
how can I
raised.
say, how we've been raised and, nurtured. So, really, I don't know.
So I've
but
had to learn how to
Yeah,
allow
it's-
him
it's one of
to
those.
be
Yes,
that and
yes.
to do that.
You know, when we were growing up, especially for me, we were told men don't cry.
Right.
One. And like men is the head of the house. You should provide no matter what.
Mm,
If there is no food, people are supposed to look at you and say,
right.
well, we want to eat.
But guys, my thing
No,
is look at Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is not it's a very difficult country to thrive in economically,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
And so if you sit down and you're thinking,
I
He's
think,
supposed to
I
just-
think as a man, they come, the title of being a man
Yes.
comes with rights
Yes.
and
and
responsibilities.
responsibilities.
Exactly.
Right. So when that pressure is put on you as a man to say, look, you have to fend for your family, you have to look after your family, it's also so that you may have you may enjoy your rights as well. To then say, you know what? You can actually sit in the house and say, look, I'm the man of this house, I'm the head of this house, this is my palace,
Yes.
and I make sure that everyone is taken care of.
Yes.
From the highest to the least person, everyone's taken care of. And it's not like it's meant to be how can I say it, a restrictive, or how can I say, like a confined. It's supposed to be a confined space for everyone, but you can be a man and then give everyone their freedom, and everyone is at liberty to do whatever they want, but within the context of that house, the rules, the regulations, and
If you're still watching and enjoying this conversation, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. How long have you guys been married?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Nice. We're 4 years, so just 1 year.
4
We just
years.
have 1 year on you guys.
Oh,
4
wow.
years this month. With Tony and I,
Yeah.
we're an intercultural couple, right? So maybe we have different struggles than you guys. Do you think we do, or do you think marriage is just the same despite whatever cultural background you're from? What's your take on making your differences work?
I think in your case, it's more harder, like because of cultural differences. And you know how marriage is. At the end of the day, you argue over different cases. And you have your own cultures, he does have his own cultures. So in your case, it's way harder. But me and my wife, we are Zimbabweans. She knows the role that she's supposed to play. I know the role that I'm supposed to play. I don't know in your case that how many days or hours or even years you have to sit down and say, this is our culture. Like it doesn't know, at first it doesn't know much about, it might know about you, but it doesn't know much about your culture. So along the way, that's when you have to really show your true colors so that you can realize, oh, so this is their culture. So your case, yeah.
One thing about us that made that not so difficult
Yeah.
was because we share the same faith,
Oh,
right? So that somewhat overrides a lot of cultural differences. Do you think faith plays a
100%.
role
100%.
in that dynamic, and how?
Let's say I am Catholic. As for me, I am Pentecostal, and she's Catholic.
I was.
Yeah, she was. There's a huge difference with the way they do things at the church and the way they do things at Pentecostal. Differences. So I think at the end of the day, if there's that difference, it can be a big disadvantage and really hard to handle things in the family. That is why at the end of the day, she had to change, to become a Pentecostal. I mean, at least that's, I mean, we are Africans. I can't be seen changing my religion, going to her religion. You know how it is in Africa. At the end of the day, people might say different things like, oh, now he's being controlled by his wife. But that was not the case when it comes to me and Paida. We sat down and we talked about it. And he said, no, it's okay. I can come to your church. And that's how it is. I feel like communication is really important when it comes to this whole thing.
Yeah, exactly.
I want this interview to be helpful in dispelling maybe some of the stereotypes or presumptions that people from the West might have about marriage in Africa or in the African context.
Yeah.
How would you say it's different? Like, for example, some people think that in African marriages, you're going to be one of 6 wives.
Oh.
Or your husband is going to beat you up.
Exactly.
Because they see that in a lot of these African movies. What would you like to share about marriage in the African context to those who are looking to understand more?
When people see an African man with 6 wives, at the end of the day, that's their own thing as Africans, and they're okay with it, you see. And then the Western, sometimes they see it as a bad thing, because a man is supposed to have 1 wife. But if you are to look at it and study it, with the way they are doing it, it's normal to them. If you are to interview even the women, you would be surprised that they would be okay with it.
Is it normal to you?
To me, it's not. Because if my... no, I'm saying like...
I don't know it's normal.
No, for me, I'm saying having 1 wife, that's normal. Having 6 wives, that's not normal. That's what I'm saying.
So is that an African thing, or is it a personal thing? We want to help to dispel the myths out there.
Personal.
And she's now speaking up.
She has. At least now we're having a conversation. Yeah. I would say it's a personal thing. Today it's a personal thing, but back then,
Kuluma kings personal
exactly. Yeah.
What was the relevance of that with the kings?
Oh, like the time where there was a kingdom, and then it was a must for a man to have probably around 4 or 5 wives.
Why?
Yeah.
The reason being that a man would want to build what is called a legacy.
Okay.
Even if you are not...
The more the wives, the more the children.
The greater your kingdom.
Thank you.
Why have people in your generation, or even a few generations before you, stepped away from many wives and prefer to be with one? Are you not Christianized, or is it a culture thing, or is it a personal thing?
I think a lot of
the current
Can I just interject?
Yes,
I
please.
don't think it's necessarily Christianized.
Yeah.
Right? Because
Thank you. You should sit
the
down.
conversation.
Because in the Bible,
Yes.
the people with many wives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Solomon had 300.
Concubines.
I don't know, but 300 wives and 700 concubines. That was Solomon. And then there's some people. So I think it was a way of life that was, or that existed in many cultures, not only in the African context. So if you look at African, Middle Eastern, even Chinese,
Yes.
you know, you find a lot of places, everywhere, polygamy was practiced.
Right.
But it's just unfortunate that maybe the Africans kind of like
Yes.
Held it for longer.
Yeah.
When I was getting ready to get married to him,
Yes.
the people would assume, oh, won't he have two other wives, da 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 da. And I'm like, how? You don't even know my person.
Exactly.
But you assume that just because he's African, right? So that's what I'm trying to bring out for us to really discuss.
If you do it these days, women of today, they're really. I would say if they catch you doing something that is not okay, you are done. But that's the truth. That's the truth. I mean, I think women are waking up. There was sort of like there was a certain time that women were looked down upon. They had no voice.
Which leads me to another question.
Okay.
Again, for stereotype, we want to break the spell. You're saying women are now
Yeah.
more empowered, even in the African context.
Yeah.
They're educated.
Yes.
They're earning well. They no longer need to depend on their father or
Yeah.
another man for their
Yes.
sustenance. How is the African man
Taking it.
adapting to that and taking it? And do you see a revolution per se happening in the African culture to facilitate that? Or how do you think the empowered woman of this generation is going to know how to still play her role as an African man's wife?
Okay.
And for an African man to be able to play his role as a husband to an empowered woman, because that's a new dynamic
Okay. Thank you.
in Africa.
Can you? Here's the thing. This is a conversation that a lot of men are not ready for,
Yes.
and they are not really adapting to this whole thing where women are empowered. Because especially in Africa, men are the head of the table. And this whole thing of empowering women to be honest with each other, it started in the West. And if we get to a time where women say we are now independent, I think men are not going to take it very well, especially here in Africa. And a lot of men right now, they're not really taking it very well. You are a doctor, and you are married to Tony. This guy is different from other men out there, especially in the rural areas as of now. If we are to mention your marriage to them, they won't take it very well. 'Cause, like, why is he going to work? Yes. In most places, I think it's happening these days. If we are to talk about empowerment in Africa, it's a good thing. It's going to help a lot of women to have a voice. But most of men out there, they are not ready for that conversation because of ignorance, lack of knowledge.
You're doing full-time YouTube, right?
I'm doing full time.
How's that going?
So far, it's good. So far, so good. I can't complain. You know, that's the thing. People have to adapt. They think that if you are to work from home, that's not a job. When I first told my mother about this, that I'm a YouTuber, what is that? You know, my dad would actually send me a CV probably twice a month and say, please apply to this job. You should definitely go to work. But when the money starts coming and you show them, then they will start to understand. So there's that negative basic mentality installed in people, where they say that you have to go to work for you to be a successful person. So for me, I would say that YouTube has been working for me.
What do you think, my Birioti?
YouTube is good, but when I wonder, they think it's very useless. Yeah, I still remember the first time and I got vakwedu vakandifuna kuti So ngikhuluma kwanta nje then I said the YouTubers can say, what's that? Oda ufane Zara.
You see, that's the thing.
Yeah, sikanzoni so. Kwadiwa mramba. Wazoka kumboenda kuchikoro. What if ikazo was donates for YouTube, but you know just say.
But that's any job though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a risk with any job.
Yeah.
Do understand, Shona?
And I can hear far more than I can speak. So I heard her.
You are investing. You're investing time in learning our culture.
Yeah.
I have to. I live here.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we have to learn from you. Like a lot of people in general in Africa, we have to learn to, you know, to accept other people's culture and learn it, not look down upon it. Because oh, okay. Tell me.
Empowered woman.
Exactly. It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Saka Pagazo, what like I'm just 21. He's 26. And it's rare kuti vanhu vakaita sesu tikaremba makadaiso. So inotoshanda YouTube. Ndo vanhu pausangozobhiliva kuti YouTube inotobatsira.
Right.
Yeah. So isusu tinongoisa zvese zvedu.
But I'm sure now they've seen, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I've learned is that Zimbabwe is like any other African country. And Africa in general, agriculture is the backbone of Africa's economy.
Okay.
We might try to adapt Western culture and Western things a lot. That's good. I mean, that's...
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. That's good. But people are forgetting where they come from. That is agriculture. That's what we are good at.
Right.
I'm not saying everyone should venture into agriculture, but for those who are good at it and passionate about it, they should definitely venture into it more.
I personally enjoyed this conversation. I don't know about you. If you did, please let us know in the comment section below and also give us your feedback and your opinion on this very controversial topic.